Just to reiterate that this COP really has seen great momentum all round. We have made progress, I think, on all areas that I've just mentioned, whether it's in ambition for mitigation, ambition for adaptation, or finance for adaptation and mitigation, and also on the rule book. As some of the delegates have spoken, it says that progress all around, not everyone happy on all counts, but we hope that everyone will see this as a very important first step to operationalize Paris Agreement with the rule book that we have agreed on, and use that as a foundation for further work to be done in subsequent COP. We think that more needs to be done to address the concerns of small island states, particularly with adaptation as well as in loss and damages. Because if you look at financing for climate action, mitigation can find involvement from the banks and from businesses, but adaptation and also loss and damage is not so easy. So we heard their plight. We have a lot of sympathy for their position and would like to support them as much as possible. Thus, the improvement in some of these work programs that we have been, pursuing and supporting them to get to where they are. It's not ideal. We have not reached the goal, but it's an issue that we'll continue to support our colleagues from AOSIS to pursue in subsequent COP. Many of the parties, including AOSIS and the Pacific Islands, they have voiced their reservations, their suggestion, and their areas where they are uncomfortable with. But many of them have also said that they are prepared to live with the package. I think across AOSIS, I haven't heard someone that voiced serious concern. So, as I mentioned, it's a package that may not have reached the target of individual parties, but it's a package that all of us can live with. And I think it's much better to have this package than to go back without any resolution and to go back for another year of talking. So obviously, I think the effects of climate change is something that the science has been telling us, is warning us. We are already feeling that in Singapore. We have seen more intense rainfall, more frequent rainfall, and also in the area around us in Southeast Asia, the typhoons are getting more frequent and more intense. That will have an impact on other more important issues such as food security, food supply, and water around us. It has real serious implication on properties, and we have seen how devastating some of these extreme weather events can be on the lives of people. So I think there must be an appreciation in Singapore about the impact of climate change, and we must encourage Singaporeans to also take collective action, and we have to do our part. And for example, many of the agreements that we have signed, we have all the intention to see them through. Powering Past Coal Alliance, phasing out coal, there's a signal to the power generation company. Methane pledge, again, also to all industries that have methane or emission will have to take note and will have to start working on it. And these are all directions that the government will take as part of the Green Plan. And we will hope to communicate this clearly to the Singaporeans, to the men in the streets, and to prepare them for the collective actions that's going to come. It is my first COP, so I have no basis for comparison. But I would see that in the last 1 week that I was here, there is the sense of commitment to do something this round. And that's felt quite strongly, whether it's a developing country or developed countries. I think the expectations of ambition of keeping 1.5 alive and helping countries to all move towards that goal is very palpable. The NGOs has been participating and calling us out as leaders to do something about climate change. And our youth, our delegates, they are out there as well, exploring ways for collaboration and cooperation. And I think this COP also saw the participation of the business sectors taking a very strong interest, particularly if I think the rules on carbon market are made clear. I think this will help to mobilize the finances for high quality carbon projects. One direction that the COP presidency has given us is to make this process as inclusive, as transparent as possible, which means that even though we have groups that represent groups of countries like AOSIS or least developed countries, we consulted as widely. We allowed all parties to make their views known before we decide how to condense and structure the discussion. So it's a very wide consultation going out. So we have several rounds of that consultation at the ministerial level, and basically said, colleagues, what are some of the key issues that's important to you, and how can we narrow down to the critical issues? And I think that's what we did when we came to this COP, is to focus on a few political issues that require leadership to sort it out. Our role as co-facilitator is to really encourage that discussion. We are not there to negotiate with the parties, but we are there to get people to come to the table, sit down and say what's important to you. Let them hear from each other what are their concerns. Ultimately, actually, it's a package. It's not just Article 6 alone. The parties will look at what do I get out from the whole package of agreed, this whole thing. What do I get out of it? I may be prepared to give in on Article 6 if I get something from something else. So I would say that it's actually the able leadership of the presidency and the UNFCCC Secretariat that hopefully could see a landing of a package. I would say that the process itself, the mood is there's a certain pattern. When you go in, and then you hear a lot of disagreement in the initial period, you sort of like, okay, it's a bit daunting because it seems to be anchoring very strongly at opposite direction and opposite positions. There seems to be no way to bridge that, and it's very strong positions. And then when we start to get progress, then you feel that, hey, sometimes you have to listen very carefully and see, okay, maybe I'm softening on this part. Then you try to say, can I try to find that? So it's a lot of patience needed in this, a lot of listening to their concerns. And the most of all is always to listen to everyone. Even for Singapore, a small country, we want people to listen to us as well. So in this forum, it's really about giving everybody a listening ear and accommodating as much as possible their interests. Of course, I feel a great sense of happiness, achievement, happiness for climate action, achievement also the fact that I think we are able to achieve with the COP presidency. This is on the assumption that the package is adopted, of course. So please understand that I'm doing this before the final decision. Yeah, it's a great sense of achievements, I must say.